Today I am talking about headphones. Like many others, when running, I like listening to music. A lot of people like to listen to podcasts as well, some to help pass the time. A lot of times too, you can get that right song at the right time that really helps you kind of push yourself, and you can get in groove with the music and move along nicely. But one of the things that we've all experienced when trying to run with headphones is, how do they fit? Are they easy to use while you're moving? Are they water resistant? How long does the battery last? So there's a lot of factors that kind of go into what makes a good headphone for running. So in the past few years, I've tried several different headphones, and I just found one that I really like the best. So now I decided to do a comparison video talking about all of them. So the first one that I started with was the Apple AirPods Pro. So this is one that everyone's probably pretty familiar with. These AirPods go right in your ear. They have a couple different size tips to make it fit your ear. The charging case is also wireless, so you can plug this in or put it on a charging pad and it'll charge wirelessly. So that's a nice feature of this charging case. So these also have noise cancellation as well as transparency mode, which basically means you have microphones on the outside of the headphone as well. So if you want to not hear the outside world, you can put on noise cancellation, or if you want to let some sound in when you're running outside, you can put on transparency mode. But what I found about that is when you're outside, especially if it's really windy, that's just going to sound terrible because it's going to amplify the wind. And if there's too much exterior noise, the noise cancellation really doesn't work that well. It's coming through anyway, and it kind of makes it a little bit choppy. So those are kind of nice features to have, but I find they don't work as well when you're outside. These headphones have excellent call quality. I actually use these all the time for work to connect to my cell phone. Whenever I'm making phone calls, the calls sound great on these. The microphone quality is really good. The sound quality is very good as well, and you can turn the volume up pretty high on these. Some of the specs here, Apple says you can get 4.5 hours of listening on a single charge, 5 hours if you turn off the transparency mode or noise cancellation, and then the case gives you an additional 24 hours of charging. So that's something that's pretty nice about wireless headphones that come with the charging case. Once you put them back in the case, even if you're out on the go, you can get them charging up again. These also have a quick charge feature where you put the earbuds into the case, and in 5 minutes in the case, you get an extra hour of listening time. So they do charge very quickly once you put them back in the case. They're also water resistant. They're not waterproof, so they can handle, sweating and some light rain, but I wouldn't recommend jumping in a pool with these. You want to get out and do the rice trick pretty soon. So, they do have the ability to use them for athletic endeavors like going to the gym or running, but I find them to be best really using them indoors. One thing that I find with any type of earbud is when you put it in there, no matter how well you have these fitting, there is some risk that they're going to come out while you're running. Just all that moving around is going to jostle them. So that's something when I go for runs with these headphones on, I always find myself, every few minutes just kind of pushing them in a little bit deeper to make sure they stay in there. I actually did run a 5K race one time wearing these, and one of the people who was directing traffic was trying to talk to me, and I couldn't hear them. So I went to press the button to mute it, and knocked the earbud out of my ear, went bouncing down the street. So I had to go and pick that up and put it back in. So that ruined my time. No, not really. Just a couple second delay, but I was more worried about my expensive earbud bouncing down the street. That's another thing with these two. They're $250, so they're on the expensive side as far as headphones go. The quality is very good. Apple also gives you a 1-year warranty. It has the H1 chip, so these really love to connect to everything, but that's also something that is useful but also annoying sometimes, because when I'm home, these want to connect to my phone, they want to connect to my computer. So sometimes if I'm sitting at my desk, I'll put them in, it connects to my computer, my phone rings, it's connected to the wrong thing, I have to switch it. So they're overactive with trying to connect to things. I also had some connectivity issues with these headphones where the right one was really having a problem connecting. It wasn't working properly. So I actually ended up bringing them back to Apple, and they sent me a replacement for the right earbud. So that was covered under warranty. But I did have an issue where in less than a year, the right one was not correcting properly. They tried doing a software update, which didn't fix the problem. So I ended up getting a new one, and it's been fine since then. But that was an issue that I had with these headphones initially. So I think the audio quality is really good on these. The battery life is okay, as long as you have the case. But that was something where I was concerned about when I was running, especially if I'm out for a longer run. If I'm running a marathon, if I know that these don't have a full charge, or something goes wrong, it might not last the full distance of that run. So I was really looking for headphones that have better battery life and that I wouldn't have to worry about them popping out of my ears. Another thing that I didn't mention that I really like about these, they do have controls on each headphone, so you could wear just one of them and you can still change the next song, but this version of it doesn't have volume adjustment on there, so you need to use Siri for that, which means you need to run with your phone. And usually I just wear my Garmin watch. I have music stored on my watch and I sync it from there, so I only really bring my phone with me if I'm going on a run through the woods in the middle of nowhere, or a race where I'm going to have to meet people afterwards. So I prefer not to run with my phone, so the functionality of these while running wasn't as good as some of the other options. So after using the AirPods Pro, I was looking for something where I wouldn't have to worry about it falling off my head and that would have longer battery life. So that brought me to the Powerbeats Pro. These ones have the piece where it goes over your ear. So now you have no concerns about this falling off. These aren't going anywhere. Once you have these in place, they're locked in. They're not going to fall off your head no matter what you do. So I appreciate that. These have a 9-hour battery life, and you get an additional 15 hours from the charging case. So stay on your head, check. A lot of time you can use them, check. These are also water resistant. And one of the things I like on these two, they have the same buttons on each headphone. So there's actually volume up, down right on the back, and then the multifunction button where you can pause it, change tracks, etc. And those buttons are on both of these. So you could wear just one of them or both of them, and you have the full functionality of changing the volume, changing the song. So that I really liked better than the AirPods Pro. More functionality on the headphones themselves. They're not going to fall off my head, and I get that ability to use the buttons easier. These also have very good sound quality. I would say that the bass is a little bit better on these than it is on the AirPods. So sound quality, functionality wise, staying on my head, those are all positives. Battery life, so these are all strengths of this. This case though is not wireless charging, which doesn't really bother me, but anyone who's interested in that, this won't charge if you put it on a charging pad. But one thing that's very annoying with these, look how ginormous this case is. So this is something where I would never bring this case with me out on a run. It's giant, it's heavy, it's not going to fit anywhere. If I'm sticking this in like a running belt, it's just really not convenient to bring with you. So thankfully these do have that longer battery life, or hopefully I'm not going to need the case. But this is something where the case is kind of cumbersome and big to bring around with you. Something else that's annoying with these, I also did have connectivity issues with these as well. There's a 1-year warranty. Apple services these as well, and I ended up having the right one replaced again. So I don't know what it is about the right earbud, where my right earbud was not connecting. Again, I brought it in, they did a software update, they couldn't fix it, they gave me a new one, so again I got it replaced under warranty. But then I had kind of lingering issues with this where these wanted to stay connected to things even when they weren't on. They were in the case is closed, it shouldn't be trying to connect to anything, but for some reason the right earbud was still connecting to my devices and draining the battery. So a lot of times I could have had this fully charged, left it overnight, go out for a run the next morning, the right earbud is dead. So for no reason, it was just randomly connecting to nothing, and the battery was draining. The other thing that's really frustrating about these is they can only connect when you take them in and out of the case. So this is something I was saying about not bringing the case with me. When I'd go to do a race, I'd have to make sure when I'm in my car before I go that I would take these out, connect them, make sure they're connected to my phone, and then leave the case in the car. Because if I went out there, didn't make sure that they were both connected, there'd be no way for me to reset it and try and connect that right headphone. So there was a lot of runs that I did where the right headphone just wasn't connected, either because it was dead or I didn't make sure it was connected when I left the case, in which case then there's no way for me to fix it. So these ones, I liked being able to have them stay on my head. I liked the volume controls being on there, the functionality, but then the actual using them was like having a Maserati or something, where it's like, yeah, this is great when it works. So that was an issue that I experienced with these headphones. These are also on the expensive side. They were $250 when they were new. You can get these now for $179.99. There's also a lot of refurbished ones you can get from Best Buy and some other sites, but I wouldn't recommend that, especially with the connectivity issues that I had. So hopefully they've improved this with newer versions of these headphones, but when they were working, the sound quality is great. I like that it stays on my head. I didn't have to worry about that. I had those volume controls. But another thing with these ones, since this part that goes over your ear is so thick, this kind of makes it hard to wear sunglasses with these. Like, they can't sit nicely right on top, so it ends up pushing it out a little bit, which is uncomfortable. So if I was running and wearing sunglasses or wearing a hat and sunglasses, that made these kind of inconvenient to use. So using for the gym or running is great, but when you're wearing a hat or sunglasses, I really didn't like the way that this fit. Using the Powerbeats Pro when I ran the New York City Marathon last year, but I kind of solved my own problem by only wearing the left one, since the right one was the one that always seemed to have problems. So I'm like, let's make sure the left one's connected before I leave my hotel room, and just leave it on all day. So thankfully the battery lasts a long time, so that was fine. And also I wanted to be able to hear what was going around me during that race, so I only was going to wear one anyway, so that worked out for me on that time. But I was like, all right, I've about had it with these headphones not connecting and not being charged. I got to try something else. So I looked online for what some other options were. I ended up getting the JBL Tune 230 noise canceling. So these are normally $99. I actually got them, I think, on a Black Friday deal. They were like $60 or something like that. So they were very inexpensive. I'm like, you know what, let me try another brand, see how these work for me. So one of the features I really like on these, right on the front of the case, has 3 lights that indicate how charged the case is. So you could just open this up and see how charged the case is at any time, which is kind of a neat feature that's not on the other headphones. This case is also on the smaller side. It's a little bit bigger than the AirPods Pro case, but a lot smaller than the Beats one. These are more your traditional earbuds. These you're supposed to put in and then twist. So these also do have adjustable tips for the size of your ear. So I find these to stay in better than the AirPods. They don't move around as much. Still, with any type of earbud though, I'm always feeling like I have to do this every once in a while just to make sure that they're staying in. But I do find that these stay in place better than the AirPods do. Also, there's like touch sensitive buttons on these. So the right one, you can make it skip tracks, rewind depending on how many times you tap it. The left one you can actually program. So this comes with an app on your phone where these also have noise cancellation, where you can toggle where turning that on or off. But I actually changed it in the app to make the left one volume up down. So you can actually touch it on here to change the volume, and then here to change the track. So those are the 2 features that I really want in headphone buttons. But one thing that's annoying is these are like those capacitive buttons. They're not actually hard buttons. So if you're wearing gloves, they don't really work. Especially, you know, they have the gloves that are supposed to have the touch sensitivity. Those never seem to work. So when you're trying to run and change it, you can't be wearing gloves or it's not really going to work. But I'm less worried about these falling out of my ears than I was with the AirPods. These are also water resistant, so they're good for working out in. You get 8 hours of battery life from these headphones, and another 24 hours from the charging case. So another really long battery life where I'm not worried about it. And actually, compared to all of these, I very rarely charge these. Like, I put these back in the case, it's still got, you know, 2 out of 3 of the case being charged. I probably haven't charged these in like a week. So I feel like the case holds a charge really well, and they're always charged. I like never have to charge these. So that's a definite advantage that these ones has over the other ones. To date, I have had no issues with connectivity with these. Anytime I open the case and take them out, they connect right away, no issues. The right one's not dead. It's not trying to connect to things. I haven't had to have it be replaced under warranty. So these being a less expensive headphone and having better functionality is actually something that I really appreciate from these. These also do have a 1-year warranty from JBL, although I found them to be the least troublesome of the 3 headphones so far. I haven't had any issues that I'd need to report. These really have the best bang for your buck of the 3 headphones. Now, they also do have the worst sound quality of the 3. They're not bad, but the Beats and the AirPods are better than these are for sound quality. But to be honest, I really don't care that much about that when I'm running. As long as it's decent, you know, I can hear the music, the battery's not going to die, and it's not going to fall out of my ear. We're winning. So these ones being the least expensive of the 3, performance-wise are actually the ones I like the best of those 3, just because I don't have to worry about those connectivity issues, and these also have a really long battery life. But they're still in-ear earbuds, so I still do have that risk of them falling out. The sound quality is not the best, so I was still kind of looking for what other options are out there, and I've been seeing videos about bone conduction headphones and thought that that was kind of interesting, but I wondered how good could these really sound. But I found a pair on sale at Best Buy. I also had a gift card there, so I was able to get them for like $25. So I was like, for that, let me give these a shot. So here's the box. So these are called Shokz. The brand used to be called Aftershokz. They shortened their name to just Shokz. So these are the Open Run bone conduction headphones. They also have an Open Run Pro, and then they have a mini version of each of those. So with these, basically you have the piece in the back that goes around the back of your head. So with the mini, it's a little bit smaller here. So if someone has a smaller head, but these actually fit me perfectly. I wore these the other day with the winter hat, and that kind of went right over the top, and it just kind of sticks out right at the bottom there, and that worked out perfectly fine. One thing where I was wearing a winter hat, it does make it come off my ears a little bit, just because these stick out a little bit here, but that wasn't really that big of a deal. The Open Run Pro have an equalizer mode, and they're supposed to have a little bit more bass, but before getting these, I looked at the reviews of some other people that had reviewed these headphones and said that they were pretty comparable in the way that they sound. So I'm all about saving money. So the Pro model is $179.95. These ones are $129.95. Again, I got them on sale for even less than that, so I was willing to give them a shot. These are IP67 waterproof rated. So these are by far the best waterproofing of any of these. You're not supposed to swim in these. They do have versions of these you can use for swimming, but they're basically saying you can be in 3 feet of water for a half hour and these will be fine. So if you're running in the rain, get caught in a storm, you're sweating, you're never going to sweat 3 feet of water in a half hour. So waterproofing, you don't have to worry about these at all. And that's something that's nice after a run. You can even just rinse them under the sink and dry them off with a paper towel and you're good to go. These have an 8-hour battery life if you're playing them at about 75% volume. I actually find that to be the right volume for these too, because if you turn it up to 100%, these actually vibrate and it goes through your the bone, so you can hear it. So if you turn it up to 100%, these vibrate too much and it feels weird. It's vibrating on the outside of your head. I'm like, my temples are shaking, so that's weird. But doing 75% or less, it's actually kind of a surreal experience. The first time I put these on, I was running. I'm like, this is so weird because you hear the sound in your head, but it's not going through your ears to get there. So it's a really kind of interesting experience. But the thing that these do better than anything else is I don't need transparency mode. I have my entire ear that's just open. So as you're running down the street, you can hear dogs barking at you, trying to chase you. You can hear cars pulling out of their driveway, not looking behind them, about to hit you. You can hear birds chirping and the joys of the wilderness. So you're not missing out on those potentially dangerous sounds that you need to hear. But also, if you went for like a trail run, you can still hear what's around you. Hear the babbling brook, something that's going to make you feel closer to nature. Or you could just lose the headphones if you're going on a nice trail run. But I find another nice thing about these is since they're not in your ear, there's no irritation when you're running. Sometimes if you have earbuds in your ear for a long time, you can get sweat in your ear. That's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable just having earbuds in your ear for a long period of time. So these, more than any other headphones that I've ever worn, you just put them on, you forget they're there. They're so lightweight, they're not actually in your ear, so you don't have to worry about that at all. These do not have a charging case. They come with like a little bag that you can put them in, but these are pretty durable. This actual strap on the back is made from titanium, so I do not think that these are going to be damaged if you were to just throw them into a bag. They're pretty sturdy overall. These also do have microphones in them for making calls. I haven't tried these yet for making phone calls, but that's not really what they're for. I'm using these for running. But basically, ever since I started using these, I don't want to use any other headphones for running. Something else that's nice about these, they do go over your ear, but this is actually really thin, so it doesn't affect your ability to wear sunglasses at all. I put sunglasses on, they sit right on top of this. No problem. The sound quality was actually surprisingly good for me too. I'm like, how good can these sound if they're not actually putting sound in my ear? The answer is pretty good. I think the sound quality is about just as good as the JBL headphones. Those have a little bit more bass. Obviously, if you have a driver in your ear, you're going to get more bass than they can deliver with this type of technology. But I believe they call this their 8th generation bone conduction technology. The Pro has the 9th generation. But the reviews that I've seen, very little difference in sound quality between those two, so I went for the less expensive one, and I'm perfectly happy with these. Also, I'm not looking for, immaculate sound quality when I'm on a run. I'm not going to have reference giant headphones and be like, yeah. These do have a proprietary charging cable, so some people find that kind of annoying, but I guess just don't lose it, put it in the same place. It is magnetic. So as you put that on there, it just attaches, and then it's a USB on the other side, so you can plug this into any other type of charger that you have that has a USB. Something else that this has that's kind of interesting, it won't charge right if this is wet when it's plugged in, so they actually have a little warning light that goes on. So I actually tested that. If you have this wet and connect it, it blinks 2 different colors and tells you, take it off and dry it off before you charge it. So that's kind of a cool feature. But this is something too where I've used these for several runs in a row. It just tells you battery high, battery medium, or battery low. So I'd like if it would actually give me a percentage rather than just saying that it's low. But I was able to do runs for an entire week without charging it, and just, again, really comfortable. Once you have these on, you just don't even feel like they're there. Go about your business. The other thing that I really like about these is they have the buttons absolutely perfect. There's one multifunction button on this one right here, and it's a raised physical button. So I was running the other day when it was really cold. I had a winter hat on. I could actually put my finger through the hat, from the outside, feel where this was, and press the button through my hat. So that was really cool. I didn't have to take my gloves off. I didn't have to take my hat off. I could just reach and feel. Here's the pod. There's the button. Click it, and good to go. Also, the volume control is on the back of this piece right here. So that was actually sticking out from under my hat. So I had access to that right here. I can change the volume and I can change the song even when I had a hat over my head. And the volume control up, the button's a little bit raised, and then down is flat. So I can easily, even when wearing gloves, feel for those buttons and touch them. And I have no chance of them falling off of my head while utilizing these buttons. So out of all these headphones that I just described, these to me are the most user-friendly, the least impactful on what you're actually trying to do. I put these on, forget about them. I want to change the song, I can. I want to change the volume, I can. I barely feel them on my head. They're causing me no discomfort. I don't have to worry about them falling off. And if I'm wearing a hat or sunglasses, it doesn't make any difference. These work just as well. And whatever kind of transparency mode they put on a headphone, nothing's better than having your actual ear able to hear what's going on around you. So again, the sound quality not quite as good as the Beats or the Apple headphones, but it's good enough. And for just the functionality, the lightweightness, the ability to use these, and the battery life, these are by far the best headphones that I've ever used for running. So again, these are the Open Run from Shokz, not the Open Run Pro. They, again, are $129.95, but I have seen them on sale recently at a few different places. So I would definitely recommend giving these a try. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.